Hey everyone, how's it going? Cell here, and welcome back to more Path of Exile. I've been playing my Bladefall, Blade Blast Chieftain quite a bit. I don't think I've hit the playtime of my Toxic Rain Deadeye, but I've definitely seen about the same amount of content with it. So right now you just saw I rolled a Feared, and I'll just let that play over in the background while I commentate. It's rolled blue because I only have so many attempts at this, and I was out of Uber at Series sets because I bricked my first one and only had two. So yeah, I rolled it blue with some insignificant mods just so I could complete it for the first time and get the 2 points for the Uncharted Realms passives, which was pretty much the main reason I did this, but I end up getting some cool stuff, as you'll see a little bit later. And yeah, overall, I'm satisfied with the build. I have played similar builds in the past, just not to this extent, never to 95, like the current level I'm at. But yeah, this is kind of a scuffed attempt. I went in thinking that if I got Uber at Zeri first, it would be pretty bad. I knew almost nothing about the fight going into it, other than that the at Zeri 1% reflect might be a decently big deal. I don't know if that's turned off during this fight or not. I assume it's not, but I didn't really notice it. I don't have any sort of reflect mitigation because I wanted to keep my Divine Flesh allocated, and what it does is make you take half of your elemental damage taken as chaos, which helps further mitigate it if you have high chaos res. However, if you have 100% reduced or any amount of reduced elemental reflect damage taken, it counteracts that because you're taking it as chaos, which of course is not reduced by those effects. Anyways, bit of commentary on the fight. I was doing decently well for the first little bit here. I have almost zero experience with Cortex. I've only ever killed him the one time needed for the Feared Maven witnessing, so pretty inexperienced there. Almost walked into that slam, as you can see, because I wasn't familiar with the mechanic. And apart from that, I'm not sure if the game went easy on me this time around or what, but I noticed that as I was playing, there's no timer, and so I didn't feel rushed to clear out any of the bosses. I just wanted to take it steadily and slowly and make sure I could handle the mechanics appropriately and not die. I do end up dying, I think 3 times, but yeah, as long as I was able to complete the encounter, I was going to be satisfied with my first attempt at it. And now, having done it and knowing a bit more about it, I feel more comfortable with it in the future, especially once I get some gear upgrades and more survivability and things of that nature. Uber at Zeri is probably one of the more difficult ones, not to like DPS down or anything, but because she spams AoE attacks. First death there to a Shaper Slam, totally avoidable if I was paying more attention. Another thing I had issues with here is I think I was ball handling too much, the Shaper Balls. I was paying a bit more attention there, ended up dodging a slam. But you see me running around here a lot and trying to position the Shaper Balls better, and like I just took an Adziri Flame Blast because of that. And I think I could have done better about that, just lead the balls a little bit until there are more of them and then handle that. Or like there, I possibly even took that Shaper Slam with a low roll on it. I'm not really sure. But yeah, another thing I could have done better about, I think, is focusing more on one boss at a time. I think I didn't focus enough on Adziri here, and she ended up being healed by the Maven a time or two, so second death to a Flame Blast there. It hits pretty hard even at the not fully empowered version. So you can see me struggling with this quite a bit as I deal with the fact that she's spamming AoEs. And there again, I was just at the edge of the AoE. And I believe that is my final death. These are the last two bosses in the encounter, fortunately. I think the easiest one for me was Chayula, just because I only have 81% Chaos Res. I could have up to 90, but I think that's a lot more than they balance it around, which just makes it easier. And yeah, other than that, just the general unfamiliarity with the fighting all the bosses at once, I think is what did me in. Definitely going to look out for things like the area modifiers, projectile modifiers, things like that you might not suspect as being dangerous, because I have died to some Maven encounters invitations in the past because of that. Specifically, I don't remember if I put this in the video or not, but I had an attempt I later did with the Formed, so all the Shaper Guardians, with extra proj, and I was unaware of how that worked with the fork attack on the Hydra, which kind of ended up doing me in a bit. After that, I picked up the Shaper Guardian. Shaper and Elder Guardian are joined by an ally. Let me tell you, that is absolutely no joke. It's normally you can account for the map mods and see what kind of things you can handle, but when you're getting a second one at random, it makes it a lot more difficult. Sorry for the abrupt cutoff there, but we're back into the live game now. As I was saying, I picked up the Guardian's Aid here, so Shaper and Elder Guardians are healed and joined by an ally when they get to a third of their life. This is, like I said, no joke, because you kind of take for granted, at least I did, the arena that they're in and how that's situated for fighting them, because they have such a specific area you fight them in normally. And that kind of gets destructured a little bit by Guardian's Aid and the Formed invitation. So, yeah, something to be prepared for if you end up taking that, but I enjoyed the challenge of running those, and we'll keep this allocated for a while, of course, because it's nice to get the extra fragments. Apart from that, this is my setup at the moment. I've been hoping for, more Guardian maps. I've had one or two, no, maybe I've had 3 synthesis maps drop. I haven't run anywhere near that amount of maps, though. Obviously, at 0.5% chance, it's like 1 in 200 to get a synthesis map from finishing a map. And unfortunately, I'm only 1 map away from the final set of points that I need. I have 10 points currently, and I can get 12 if I finally get an augmented distant memory. I don't think the Forgotten should be that big of a deal for me to handle. But I'll keep that allocated for the time being. I did experiment with vivid memories when I ran my other synthesis maps. I didn't think it was that big of a deal. I also had this allocated for a time. The well-rolled fractured items always sucked. And the synthesis uniques, you're getting them for the explicits a lot of the time anyways, so it's nice to have the extra implicits, but I don't think it's worth keeping this allocated by any means. I didn't really get too many interesting synthesis items here. Obviously the big payout in terms of itemization is like an explode mod weapon, which would be absolutely amazing. I did end up getting, I believe, a jewel with a good implicit, 5% global fizz. I've been trying to do something with that. This is kind of usable. I can craft life on it eventually, but I'll probably just try to reroll it anyways for more damage or something like that. This is especially good for this build and other builds that want to scale the explosion chest because the base is physical, of course. speaking of the rest of my gear, I did upgrade my scepter considerably. I don't remember how I initially ended up rolling this. This is better than the scepter I had before. It was just, the one I had previously was some crit chance, +1 fizz gems, and some flat lightning or something like that. So not super great overall. This one has an actual enchantment, which I don't think the previous one did. Fire damage to spells and pen, that's a warlord mod. 20% of fizz is fire, another tier 1 warlord mod. And cast speed. I think this began as the fire penetration mod, cast speed, and 2 other not so great mods. And I'm sort of swimming in annulments right now, so if I get something decent, but not so good, decent enough to continue crafting, but not so good that I want to avoid risking losing certain mods, then I'll just throw some annulments at it. And in this case, I was left with the fire damage to spells and the cast speed as my only 2 affixes. And then I did something to augment the physical damage mod. I think I crafted a physical, yes, this is what I did. I went over to the bench. I crafted a random physical damage mod. So, for example, this one here, basic weapon physical damage. And then I had a remove add physical damage, so I did that. Then I crafted cannot roll attack modifiers for 1 exalt, and used another because I got an attack modifier from that. If I had gotten +1 gems or the physical damage is fire, I would have stopped there. But I then crafted cannot roll attack modifiers, which narrows down the physical mods in the pool to physical damage is fire or +1 to physical gems. So I was guaranteed to get one of those mods, both of which would have been good for my DPS. And then from there I have a 3 crafted mods for 2 exalts, and just threw on spell damage and trigger for my other skills here. Could have gone with fire damage. I'm not really worried about scaling the explosion damage. I'd rather have the little bit of extra single target DPS because I'm comfortable with my current clear ability. Yeah, I've also crafted this opal ring. This had, I think this rolled as is off of 1 essence of hysteria, I believe. Yes. So rings gain 10% of physical damage as extra fire, and that is a prefix. And I've got another one over here that I'm attempting to craft. This rolled originally with 9% fire res, and so I switched that to lightning, then with harvest, of course, and did a remove lightning. So that just leaves me with this, and I'm looking to remove the evasion rating, so a remove defense modifier, and then craft life. I might end up trying to, actually now that I have more essences of hysteria, I might try to craft a different ring. I was thinking originally that the dexterity here is nice, but it's not really all that necessary because I've got that mostly solved elsewhere, and can even push that a bit further if I need to by recrafting some of my other gear and possibly getting a jewel or something. So I might throw another hysteria at a different opal ring to see if I can get a better one than this. It would be nice to get fire damage or something like that, or I'm really going to need a chaos res roll. I think that's the only one I'm going to be missing after I take this off. Yeah, I'll be 2% away from capped, but that means I'm shoehorned into using some of my other gear. This helmet's probably not going to get replaced by me. I might try to craft the life up, but I doubt I'm going to go for a higher level conk effect, because this helmet is good for me as is. It's got conk effect, life, and tier 1 chaos res, which is everything I need. This amulet, I'm in the process of crafting another fizz damage as fire from the warlord mod. That is a prefix, so my strategy for that is to pretty much just remove add fire with suffixes blocked. So if I get a harvest mod for that, I'll take off the life craft, add a resistance craft, and a lightning res craft. I don't want to remove the fire res and add a prefix or fire res again, of course. So that'll remove the fire attack modifier here, and the target I'm going for is the fizz damage as fire warlord mod. So that's just one avenue to really scale this build up. I'm also aiming for some warlord gloves, probably. These gloves are pretty terrible, but warlord can roll spell damage and maybe it's not spell damage. Some type of damage that applies to me. Maybe it's fire, physical, spell, something like that. I'm trying to get a high enough item level warlord fingerless silk gloves. That's where my current add influence mods are going, to high level fingerless silk glove bases. But yeah, that's pretty much where I'm at now. Another minor note is I added the 15% chance to gain a power charge on crit here. If it were more feasible, I would probably try to go for a what is it called? Frenzy charge on hit mod. That is a suffix, but unfortunately the tags, it doesn't have any tags really. So I won't be able to target craft that really, which is unfortunate because I'd prefer to have that over like the support gems, for example. But, you know, kind of got to deal with it. And it would have been easier, I guess, if I didn't have the power charge on crit. I guess eventually I could try to remove that and do an augment influence mod to try to get that. But that's more so a very minor thing I would go for, because it would be such a rare outcome. Anyways, my throw is pretty much done for this video, so if you've watched this far, thank you for watching. And if you want to subscribe to see more, I'll definitely be posting more videos about character, build progress, and overall crafting stuff. I've been loving the crafting this league. And yeah, thanks for watching again, and I'll see you next time. Peace.